Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, and I'm here to challenge everything you have been taught about aging and wellness. This podcast is for those who refuse to accept that growing old means growing unhealthy. Each week, I will bring you dynamic conversations with inspirational guests, sharing practical advice, insights, and motivation to live your life rebelliously as you age with grace and vitality. This is your time to embrace self-care, transformation, and an infectious spirit that says no to the conventional and yes to a vibrant, powerful life. Let's dive in and redefine what it means to live well. Hi, Rebels, and welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And today, our special guest is Catherine Lang-Cline, who is an award-winning CEO and a creative visionary and leader. And she's going to talk to us all about stepping into our best self and being creative and thriving professionally and personally. I would add to that. Welcome, Catherine. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me here today.
It is totally my pleasure. I'm so excited to have you on board. Let's dive right in, Catherine. Who is Catherine? 3 words that tell us a little bit about you. Give us a little bit of a backstory behind each word.
Oh, absolutely. I'll probably select as my first word, creative. I have always been a person that makes things, paints things, draws things, ever since I was a child. I have a fine arts degree. And oddly, I then got into marketing, which then got me into business, which was a different path, but we can get into that a little more if we like. The second word I would pick, which kind of marries into that, is strategic. I always love problem solving, and very, very much, again, since I was very young, I just had to figure out, how do I get to college? What do I do with an art degree? How do I, solve problems in marketing? And then once you decide to start a business, that's just a never-ending battle of problems that you have to solve. And the third one is I'm relentless, because when I really, really want something, I will be pretty relentless when it comes to getting that. Now, it's not to say that sometimes what I thought I wanted is what I end up with, but I like to kind of have a vision of where I'm going and really keep that eye on the prize. But again, sometimes something else, another shiny object might come along. I'm like, oh, I think that's a better choice, and I might take that path instead. But regardless of, if I want to get something done, I will be pretty relentless in getting it.
So let's start with the word creative, because I just think that's such a great word that goes along with you. And I'll tell you, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs working on their businesses. And a lot of times, I'm a big proponent of self-care, taking care of yourself. And frequently, I will tell them, you have to do something creative.
Yes.
Something that feels good to you, whatever creativity means to you, right? For every one of us, being creative might mean something different. And sometimes they look at me, they're like, really? They're like, I don't have time. The usual, my calendar is packed. And I'm like, yes. So you're going to make some time to being creative. You'll be intentional about it.
Absolutely.
So, coming from a pro, let's talk about that. Like, what is the relationship? Because many people don't see the direct relationship between creativity and success. Tell us a little bit more from where you come from.
I can absolutely speak to this, because I have had opportunities to mentor other women. Having, started a business and been a CEO and things like that. People are like, well, Catherine, how did you do it? And I'm more than happy to share some of the tricks and tips. But the one thing that I really realized is that I always stayed creative. It was something that obviously I mentioned before with, I started as a child, always drawing at things. But even throughout my career growth, it has always been something that has been super creative. And I ended up creating a podcast myself, which is called The Secret Art of Business, because I do think that creativity plays a really, really strong part in that. And that's in many different ways. Like for me, while I was building a business, which is making something, you have to market it. You have to be a salesperson, and all of that is creative things that you have to do, because you might be at a networking event, for example, and you're thinking, well, how am I going to go talk to that person? So I would strategically think of something, and that would be creative, and think, how am I going to make an introduction where I'm memorable, where they'll want to talk to me, where I can really make a connection with this person. And I'm putting some of these things together in a book that I'm writing and some of the techniques that I use for that. But just as an example, for a networking event, like I would see someone that I might recognize, and I would immediately say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to meet you. I have followed your career. Or I wanted to just congratulate you on that award that I heard that you won, or what you're doing. The community is fantastic. And it's things that they might not say, they might not hear, I should say, from other people at an event, because typically what we always hear is, hi, I'm Catherine, and I own a company, and I want to sell you something. But if you make it more about them, you think a little bit differently and think about, how can I make this conversation interesting? Then they're going to be interested in me. So one of my favorite things to say is, people are interested in interesting people. So really, really think about what it is that you do, what you could say that would be a little bit out of the ordinary, that's going to make somebody remember you. And that's a lot of what I did. That was a lot of the common thread that I had in business. Now, when I discovered that, I started talking to other business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, and asked them what they did creatively, either as a child or what they do now. And it was really, really interesting that a lot of the most successful people were doing something that they really were passionate about as a kid. Or if they kind of went off the road, which we do sometimes, they're doing something as a side hustle, as a just as a thing to relax, that they just really, really loved. That it's like no responsibility, that there is absolutely no connection to the left side of your brain at all, in order to recalibrate their entire brain, and then they can get back in and be creative, be successful, work really hard, work the numbers. But it's because of that break, because it's kind of going back to things that you are really passionate about. That's what really drives you forward. And I think sometimes people forget about that. They think, if I keep doing the same thing, just harder, I'm going to get ahead. It's like, no, think about it differently. Be creative. What can you do? Take a minute, go take a walk, take a shower, binge watch a show, just something that really disconnects you. And it's not all about just drawing, and it's not all about painting, or, although the wine and sips are pretty good that people are doing right now. but it is just something that is, like I said, that just makes you think differently about stuff.
The first point that comes to mind is when you talked about networking and asking people questions about them, or making a remark about them. I really think one of the best things, and I'll tell you, that is the one thing I personally enjoy about networking is, I don't go in there to be like, hi, my name is Maria, and this is what I do. That's all like, boring. I don't want to do that.
Who cares?
And I was recently at an event, and we were sitting in tables, and this girl was just walking around dropping off business cards. And I was like, she wasn't even saying, hey, this is so important, here's my card. She was just like literally dropping the business cards. And I was like, how effective is that, to just passing a card? And the one thing I am a huge proponent is relationships, right? It's like, once I get to know you, once you get to know me, maybe not now, maybe 5 years from now, there's an opportunity for us to do something together.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be because you know me, you know about what I do, you know my personality, and you're going to be like, you know what? I think Maria will be great for that, versus, my name is Maria, would you like to buy my product?
Exactly.
And like, I don't want to do that.
And so I have a great example of that, because I would never be afraid to walk up to another CEO, because I'm a CEO too. I don't care if my company's smaller than your company, but I'm a CEO too. I will go up to them and, ask, start a conversation, and then would come up, what is it that you do? And at the time I would say, I help companies find creative talent. I do have a staffing and recruiting company, and we really try to make perfect matches for people. And immediately I was shut down, because he said, we don't need it. We have a company. Good day. And and I was like, you know what? And that's totally fine. And I said, even if you have people that you haven't hired that are great creative people, just tell them to call me, because I would love to place them. And before I could even walk away, he said, you know what? I have a daughter that's in art school right now, and I would love it if you could talk to her. Would you mind doing that? All right. So now I'm helping the CEO's daughter to try and get a job. totally thinks different of me now. So he never did work with that company. But I got to tell you, he was one of the best champions we had, that he would always tell people about us. Because, in his company, it wasn't a need. But if he heard about somebody else that did, he would say, who you need to call? You need to call Catherine. She's a really great person. She helped my daughter. My daughter's very happy working now. So, you never know when those opportunities are going to happen. And just like you said, make that connection, start building a relationship.
And I love that, he didn't say, okay, well, we don't need your services. Thank you. Bye. And you're like, okay, we can
Exactly.
like, oh, bye.
Exactly.
But you were like, okay, that's totally cool. And
totally cool.
You're not meeting every single person to do business with them. It's great if the business opportunity is there, but just to keep going and not take it personally. I think that's the big one that in the beginning, I'll tell you, that's something I had to work on too. It's really what got me into mindset work was sales, because I was like, I'm going to get a no. And now it's like, okay, it's not the right client. It's not the right time.
Yes.
Move forward, right? You can still have the relationship with the person despite
absolutely,
together, right?
Absolutely.
So that's a big one. And then, I completely forgot what the other point is and what you were talking about. Oh, creativity. So you were talking about like how sales can be creativity, right? How your marketing can be a creativity. And then you also said break the pattern of what you do constantly, right? Over and over and over.
100%.
And I so agree with that, because I think we become so conditioned to being on that hamster wheel that it's just you keep going and going and going. And that kills your creativity. That kills your innovation. And actually, even for companies, it is so great for them when they provide opportunities for their employees to just break the routine. And do something different, whatever.
Exactly. And if you plan on being in business for a number of years, and we all hope that we should, plan on reinventing your business every 3 to 6 years. Because I think about when I started my business 20 years ago, we literally had so much handwritten timesheets that people would fax to us. And we started the company with, just 2 laptops and a couple of BlackBerries, and everything else we just kind of figured out. And, as time went on, you had to start it's like, okay, I guess we got to make this an electronic timesheet, because now we have so many people, so you have to kind of make an evolution. You might find that you're really popular in one sector and you're like, okay, well, that is kind of dying out. Now we have to do this. We literally only place graphic designers and copywriters at the beginning. 20 years later, we were doing web designers. We were doing, people that did apps for phones, et cetera, et cetera. AI, was starting to move in. And you had to keep reinventing every single time. It's like, I have no idea what this software does, but what, I better start learning what it is so I can, find the right people. So it's always a challenge. And, when people think, just even another example too, 20 years ago when we started the company, not everybody had a website, and they were like, oh, I don't know. It's like, come on, you got to evolve. You got to change. You got to try new things. And even if your website doesn't work the first time, look at it again. Why are people coming to it? I might have to redo the whole thing. I might have to redo my whole logo. I might have to redo it. It is a constant, just trying different things. And that was a lot of what I loved about it. It's a lot of just trial and error. Let's see what happens. What happens if I do this? Well, how will people react? And just kind of finding what that really, that sweet spot is that is going to resonate with somebody.
Yeah, and I really like that you're talking about that, because and that doesn't apply only to small companies. Actually, that applies to large companies as well. You got to stay current with the times. And nowadays, because of technology, things are changing way faster than right before. 20 years ago, we were seeing rapid change maybe every decade. Now it's like 2 months and you're obsolete with the technology.
Exactly.
And, the new platform that is popping up, and it's the algorithm and so forth. Hey Rebels, I want to take a quick moment to share something super exciting with you. If you've been feeling stuck, disconnected, or just know there is more to life than what you're experiencing, I have something special for you. I have created a powerful 6-step video series called Unleash Your Potential, an introduction to the Angelova Method. As a valued mind-body podcast listener, the series is my gift to you. In this series, I will guide you through the core elements of the Angelova Method, a unique approach that integrates movement, mindset, and mastery to help you align your body, mind, and life. You will learn practical techniques to improve your alignment, boost your core strength, and connect deeply to your inner self. Whether you're looking to enhance your physical health, gain mental clarity, or simply live more fully, these videos are designed to get you started on the path to your most vibrant self. And the best part? It's completely free. So if you're ready to break through barriers and unleash your full potential, head over to mindbodyexpert.com and get started today. Let's take this journey together, because you, my rebel, deserve nothing less than the extraordinary.
Yeah, and another great pitfall to talk about too is perhaps you have a client that is like a maybe over 50% of your business too, and then suddenly you lose that client. And we have had that, and you have to get creative really fast to try and figure out, how are we going to sustain this? And, do we have to lay off people? Do we have to, do markups? Do we have to, do other things? But, it like I said, it's just this constant evolution. You're not going to have a client for 20 years, for example. You're not going to have things because they come and go, and you have to always be prepared. You always have to be ready to see who's the next hot company that's going to need your service, and how can you be flexible in order to help them?
Well, I think and the growth is not happening only from their side. The growth is happening from our side too. Yes. And sometimes the client who was the right client 10 years ago is no longer the right client today. Yes. And I think that goes very much with the mindset of change, embracing change and seeing where the opportunities are versus freaking out when something is changing. Because let's be honest, change is inevitable, whether it's in our personal life, professional life, and embracing change with creativity. I mean, that is super extra bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you find yourself a little bit painted in that corner, you're out of ideas, you can grab some paper and start drawing. One other thing I like to suggest to people is go and buy some Play-Doh and just open it, and that smell is going to take you back to a creative state that you had as a kid. Or take nature photos too. A lot of people have phones with cameras. Just go and take some photos of things. They don't have to be good right away, but just that process of just looking, taking the time, trying to make a great photo. I mean, it's a game changer. And then when you kind of come back, you're like, all right, I have a clear mind, and I can really start thinking about how I'm going to troubleshoot something.
Yeah. And I think that makes also the example that you just gave, it's a big break into that, how I call it going down the rabbit hole of, this is not working out, and I don't know what to do. And now you're just spinning, right? Yes. Out of control.
Working out's another great example too.
So it's a way to break that routine and kind of get a fresh perspective.
Totally. Absolutely. I love that you kind of threw it like working out too, because just the buzzword hit me like it's like, you can't have leg day every day.
Yes, you can.
You have to work the whole body. It's just like, okay, something I stopped losing weight. I stopped gaining mass, whatever it is, I got to try something else. You got to be creative and think of something else. So yeah, it can be applied to everything.
So let me ask you a personal question. What's your favorite way to get creative? Because as you're speaking about movement is one of my favorite ways to just break the routine and be present.
Well, I love painting. That is my first love. But if I want to try and switch up something quickly, if I put on some music, it's kind of like you were talking about with the movement too, because music and movement is very, very married together. But there are just some songs that will take you back to a time, again, where you had no responsibility. You're like, this is my song, and you're transported back somewhere. But that's a really, really quick way for me to just instantly change my mood, change my game up. And then if the dancing comes, then it comes.
Dancing is a big one for me. I do it all the time.
That is so great. That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great one that I enjoy. So if we have a lot of entrepreneurs, we have a lot of C-level people listening, what is one piece of advice of something practical they can do today if they feel stuck, if they're like, I don't know where I'm going with this? What is something that you'll be like, try that? Of course.
Yeah, it's a lot of what we've talked about, which is just do something creative. It's about, changing things up. It's about thinking differently. And we can get really stuck with just the same thing over and over again. This worked before. And especially with entrepreneurs too, they can get stuck because they don't think of what they're doing as a business. And I run into this a lot, where somebody has a true passion and they make it into a great job for themselves. And when they have that job, they might hire some people to help them with that job, but they never get to the point where they let go and say, I'm the CEO now, and I have to delegate even more than what I wanted. I have a bunch of people that now believe in me. They believe in what I'm doing. How do I keep growing? By duplicating myself, by moving into a role of things that only I can do. And people get stuck because they just keep doing more. It's like, I'm in charge. I have to look at everything. I have to make all the decisions. I have to have my hands in everything. And you can only do so much. You only have so much time. So that's where they get really, really stuck. So if they really want to take off, you have to change your mindset and think about, if I'm the president of this company, as you maybe even look at it as looking at yourself in your own office window or something. It's like, what should I be doing? And is it doing these frivolous things? Or should I be thinking about big picture things, thinking about growth, thinking about, shaking more hands, getting those bigger deals? Or am I the same person that is still changing the toilet paper and filling the snack jar? And, maybe, and for one thing for me that took me a long time to let go was the financials. I loved just,
doing
cashing the checks, and I loved writing the checks, and I loved all of that. And it was so fun. But there was a point where it's like, you can, what a CEO makes versus what like a bookkeeper makes, hire a bookkeeper and do the things that only you can do. So that would be probably my first big piece of advice to people, is to, when you're ready for it to become a company, and it's a huge shift in your mindset too. When you're ready, do it. But it's really kind of the only way it's going to grow.
I love that you're saying this, because I do a lot around changing, especially the mindset around healthcare, the wellness industries, and the fitness industries. And I have the benefit of having a financial background. So I know that it's great to have a business that you love. That's how I started my rebellious company. However, if you're not doing well financially, and if you can't pay your bills, that is not going to last as a business. So you have to think about, how do I grow? And as you evolve, one thing I say to my clients, you have to start acting as that CEO that you want to be. Like Absolutely. You said, you can't act like the person who is still changing the toilet paper in the bathrooms, right? You have to have a different aspect. Delegation is a huge piece of mindset.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
One is trusting other people to it, the financial aspect of it. I mean, that is a big mindset shift. And then letting go of that baby. I mean, I will tell you, I'm going through scaling now, Catherine. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's my baby. Like, don't let it go, right? Because that is my creation. I build it from zero. But that is how we grow. And if I want to keep hanging on to it, I will be where I am without moving forward. And there is discomfort with moving forward and stepping into that next level of where we want to be.
And much like with children, if you did a great job, and it's time for them to go, you have to let them go. And it's the same thing with a lot of the work as well. It's like, if you're a great CEO, if you're a great person running this company, there comes a time where you can let it go and it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So I love that you're talking creativity, and I love that you're bringing in mindset, because that's such a huge shift in how you have to see yourself.
Yes.
Not even how others see you, but how you first have to see yourself and the road that you have to step in.
I have a short little story about that. I remember I want to say I was in business maybe, 12 years at this time. And I had a car that was probably about 8 years old. Loved it though. Loved it. And never really thought too much about it. And then my accountant finally said, Catherine, you have a lot of money. You should buy something. Maybe you should buy a car. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just get a new one of whatever I got. And she said, no, here is the amount I want you to spend. I mean, that's kind of where it was. I researched cars at that price. And so I actually got a luxury car, and I drove it to work, and I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know if, I wasn't really comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But then somebody finally said, oh my God, somebody who worked for me, oh my God, you finally got a car that a CEO should be driving. And that really hit me, because it was me. It was me holding me back. They had expectations of me, and I was not meeting those expectations. They're like, how do I know if the company's successful if you're driving this 8-year-old car around, And these are little things that I'd never thought about. But once, that kind of happened, I'm like, what else am I doing that is not, making my team feel like I'm the CEO, that I'm in charge, that we're doing well. And that, I had to change up a few things, but it was hard. So I was like, I'm still in this worker role. I'm still just an entrepreneur, and I'm only this is just a small company, and it wasn't, but in my head, I couldn't get past it.
That was your own view of what the reality was.
Exactly.
And the only thing that changed, really, I mean, yes, you got the car, but what really changed was you changed your view of yourself and your company.
Absolutely. Because I was like, at that point, what is my problem?
Well, yeah. And you know
People
what?
have this expectation of me and I'm not doing it, and we will get stuck in that regards. And that kind of was tying in a long way, I guess, to what we were just talking about is like your team has expectations of you as a CEO. I mean, a car is a very tangible thing, but it's with your responsibilities too and everything that you do. So, you've got to step into that role and go all in.
And go all in. And that's the scary part.
It is so scary.
Yes. And people, I think sometimes I would tell you, me as somebody 10 years ago was having this conversation, I'd be like, what's so scary about it? But having walked the journey and progressed and grown and stepped into those uncomfortable, like hiring a marketing team, like doing a podcast. I mean, those are things that they put you out there in front of the world.
Right. And I think to us, there's so many reasons, and a lot of this is going to be in the book that I'm writing too, but some of the surface things are, it is, you get higher risk, when you start hiring people and the numbers get bigger, and there's some things you're not doing and you're letting somebody else do. Do they got this? Or is a client going to call me and say, who is this nightmare that you sent to my house or that's in my office? So there's just a lot more on the line. And something in us, is just, I don't know if it's not trust. We're not trusting ourselves. We're not in that right mindset, but a lot of that stuff holds us back is that fear of failure, that fear of something imploding, that fear of losing control. It's just layer upon layer of stuff. And a lot of it is a leap of faith. But again, if you have done all the things, it'll be fine. Yeah. It will be fine.
And I think I summarized, actually, a colleague asked me, what do you think are most people's problem? And I said, yes, all of the things you mentioned. And I think they all go into the bigger denominator of self-worth.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Because we allow things that are happening externally to us to define who we are. We don't trust ourselves with who we are as a human being. And I think once we step into that power, it's like, wow. And I mean, yes, as you grow as a business, would you ever hire the wrong person? Absolutely.
It's going to happen. I'll tell you right now. It will happen.
The bigger you are, that's going to happen. Are you going to have things that go your way, not go your way? Absolutely. That's part of the growth, right? So it's not that these things are never going to happen, but are you going to choose to not do anything and stay stuck? Because, like you said, the risk. Yeah. And I think we get so focused on the risk of what can go wrong versus on the risk of what if it goes right?
Right. And and a lot of that starts when we are really, really, really young. So I don't want people to beat themselves over this because when you really had no control over it, I'm talking like 5 years old, maybe younger, you were already starting to learn your own self-worth by how other people treated you. And that stays with you. That stays with you till a long time until you get something happens that can correct that. So do not beat yourself up over that. And a lot of us have it. And
all of us have it.
So we can say everybody has it. Yeah. and we question just our own self-worth and whether or not we can do things or how high we can go. I mean, I run into women that are afraid of, growing a company or earning more money than perhaps what their father made, because that was always in their life. Dad was the breadwinner and I look up to him, and how could I possibly surpass what he's doing?
Or my husband.
That was my next one, is that some people think what happens when the dynamic switches is suddenly my husband going to be threatened because now I'm making more money. My husband on that note says, you know what? Do it.
My husband is along with you.
He's so supportive. He's like, oh, that's great for me too. So, I mean, but there are people will use that as a gap, or their friends even. Like, what if I'm a CEO and my friends are still the workers? Can we still be friends? There's a lot to risk in that. But again, that goes back to self-worth, and again, just taking kind of that leap of faith. It's like I just kind of outgrew this life, and I got to go for this next one. And if you decide to stay in that first life, or that even sometimes that second life, then you're missing out on a whole lot if you don't just keep pushing yourself to that next level, which is where my relentless part comes in, I guess.
Love it how it came all full circle.
There you did.
I can't let you go without asking you, what is your definition of rebellious?
Oh my gosh. My definition of rebellious, I think, is to do something that somebody did not expect you to do. Hopefully that's for the good, but people, I can't say that I'm good all the time. But just like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you achieved that. I can't believe, for me, that is just breaking out of that norm, what is expected of me, and just doing just something bigger or different or surprising. Sometimes I surprise myself. But it's just worth kind of taking that risk to just try something and just say, not everybody's doing this. And it's, on a very low rung, at an older age, I started getting tattoos, for example, and I have a couple. And then they're all very personal to me. So it's not like I went and I put Tweety Bird on my backside. It is something. These three are very, very meaningful to me. And but then someone of my age getting that, my God, you have to almost feel like you got to walk in and explain things to people, before, like to your mother, especially, like, what did you do? It was rebellious, but for me, it meant a lot. It meant, something very personal to me. It's something that I wanted to do. And that could, like I said, that's a very low rung, easy thing to do. But if you change that perspective a little bit into something that you truly want, that's even at a higher level, that is being truly rebellious.
Yeah. And I love the example that you gave, because for some people that could be, you can be disowned by your family.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right? So in some
I did that for years.
It could be a deal breaker, but I like the part where it felt right to you, and you did it because it felt right to you. And I think that is so important. And I think so much of what we talked about even here today has to do with what's right for you, what's the right next step for you, how do you grow? How do you grow with creativity and inspiration and feeling good, right?
Exactly.
That's what I like. Well, Catherine, where can people find you? Like, tell us websites, social media, if they want to ask you a question. The book is not ready yet, right?
It is not ready yet, but if you follow me on LinkedIn, it's Catherine Lang-Cline. I hopefully am posting inspirational things. So you can get that now. And some of those things that I'm posting are quotes from the book, and the book should hopefully be coming in the next few months. And a lot of that is geared towards, I can kind of give a little tip off of it, is that it's geared towards women, but it could be kind of applied to anything. But it's the rules of the game for women in business. And in the 20 years of owning a business, and about 15 of just being in the business universe, I learned that business is just a sport, and we gotta learn how to play it. And in many cases, women don't know the rules, and I'm here to tell you what they are. And the scenarios that I did in order to make a lot of that succeed. And it's sometimes we see the world as, it's us against them sort of thing. But even every guy who has a team that he's building, we're always using the word team, the team that he's building wants winners on that team. And if you can prove yourself to be a winner, that you understand how the game is played, they're going to watch you on the team. And that's kind of all it is. And like I said, I go through different chapters of how you can get champions for yourself, how to be your own agent, how to steal the ball back in a meeting, all that sort of stuff. Because like I said, those are things that I learned and helped me be a better player for just business in general.
I love it. So Catherine Lang-Cline on LinkedIn. You guys follow Catherine online. Catherine, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy and inspiration. Thoroughly enjoyed this. I do look forward to staying in touch. Rebels, ask any questions that you have. Share this with whoever you think will find it beneficial. So much wealth and so much wisdom. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. You guys, do not forget to stay rebellious. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Mind Body Podcast, where we explore the power of living authentically and rebelliously. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebellious soul who would love to hear what we share as much as you do. Stay strong, stay calm, and most importantly, stay rebellious. Until next time, rebellious souls, keep living fully. Your journey is just beginning.